Good day, mates. Welcome back to Unpopular Aussie Opinions, where we dive headfirst into the raw, unfiltered takes on Australian sports that nobody else dares to touch. I'm your host, the bloke who's probably copped more flack from footy forums than a seagull at the beach, and today we are tackling something that hits like a late tackle from a rampaging prop forward. It's a what-if scenario that's been gnawing at me ever since I heard whispers of a family mishap up in Sydney, that nasty car accident involving Cooper Johns back in May. But let's crank it up a notch, shall we? Imagine, just for a moment, if it wasn't Cooper dodging the wreckage, but his uncle, the eighth immortal himself, Andrew Johns. Picture this: Andrew, the kid from Cessnock who redefined halfback genius, involved in a horrific smash earlier today, October 15th, 2025, succumbing to his injuries after a battle in intensive care. It's fictional, it's heartbreaking, and it's the kind of gut punch that forces us to confront how fragile even our rugby league gods really are. Now, before you flood the comments with pitchforks, and I know you will, because that's what we do here down under, hear me out. This isn't some morbid fan fiction cooked up for clicks. It's a stark reminder of how one accident, one split-second lapse on the roads we all barrel down every day, could rip the heart out of the NRL. Andrew Johns isn't just a player, he's the blueprint for brilliance, the bloke who turned scrappy Newcastle Coal Town grit into state of origin poetry. And if he were gone, mate, the game would feel like it's lost its soul. In this episode, we are unpacking the legacy that would be cut short, the controversies he'd leave simmering, and, yeah, here's where it gets unpopular, my take on why the NRL might actually stumble forward stronger without him calling the shots from the commentary box. Buckle up. This one's going to be a bumpy ride through memory lane, with a few speed humps of hot takes along the way. Let's start at the beginning, because you can't appreciate the void without knowing the legend. Andrew Stephen Johns, born May 19, 1974, in Cessnock, New South Wales, a town where the air smells like coal dust and unfulfilled dreams, but where footy is religion. He burst onto the scene with the Newcastle Knights in 1993, a 19-year-old halfback with eyes like lasers and a pass that could thread a needle from 20 metres out. Remember his debut? Against the Cronulla Sharks, no less. He slotted over a field goal in extra time to seal a gritty win. It wasn't flashy, it was pure Johns, calculated chaos, the kind that makes you think, this kid's different. By 1997, he was the architect of Newcastle's maiden premiership, that drought-breaking miracle against Manly at the old Sydney Football Stadium. Picture it: Golden Point, Johns dummies, steps, and burrows over. The hunter erupted like a volcano. That try wasn't just points, it was validation for every blue-collar battler who'd ever backed a local lad. But Andrew wasn't content with club glory. Oh no. He craved the big stage, the one where Queenslanders sharpen their knives and New South Wales bleeds blue. State of origin. From 1995 to 2005, he played 26 games for the Blues, captaining them in his final series. His stats? Mind-boggling. Over 300 points scored, countless try assists, and moments that still give Maroons fans nightmares. Take Origin 2 in 2001 at the Gabba, down 16-4 at half-time. Johns orchestrates a comeback for the ages, booting a sideline conversion from the car park that sealed a 26-22 thriller. Or Game 3 in 2005, his swan song, where he limped off injured but not before masterminding a series-clinching rout. He won the man of the match 4 times, more than anyone else. Immortal? Bloody oath. Inducted in 2012 as the 8th, alongside the likes of Fulton and Raudonikis. But here's an unpopular opinion right out of the gates. Andrew Johns was overrated as a captain. Don't get me wrong, his vision was unparalleled, but that hot-headed streak? It cost the Blues more series than it won. He led with heart, sure, but sometimes ego overrode the game plan. Remember how he'd bark at refs like they owed him money? Passionate? Yes. Prudent? Not always. Off the field, though, that's where the real Johns yarn unravels. The man battled demons that would floor lesser souls. Injuries plague him from the start. Knee reconstructions, shoulder ops, the lot. By 2002, at just 27, he was playing through pain that'd make a stevedore wince. And then there were the personal battles. Johns has been candid about his struggles with depression and anxiety, those silent tacklers that hit harder than any forward pack. In his 2007 book, The Eighth Immortal, he laid it bare, the isolation of fame, the pressure of being the golden child of a footy dynasty. His brother Matty, another Knights great, has spoken about the family toll, how success cast long shadows. And let's not sugarcoat it, the off-field incidents. That 2007 suspension for testing positive to a banned substance, a party pill, he claimed, but the headline screamed drug scandal. He missed the finals, and the NRL world tut-tutted like a bunch of pearl-clutching aunties. Unpopular take number 2. That ban was a stitch-up. The league was itching to clean up its image post-Woodward, and Johns was the sacrificial lamb. He owned it, fronted up, but it tainted a career that deserved unblemished silverware. Fast forward to retirement in 2005, announced mid-season because his body finally waved the white flag. 287 first-grade games, 82 tries, 928 goals, numbers that scream GOAT. Post-playing, he didn't fade into coaching obscurity like some. No, Andrew pivoted to the media, becoming the sharp-tongued pundit on shows like The Footy Show and Fox Sports NRL 360. His analysis? Razor sharp. He'd dissect a play like a surgeon, calling out coaches for boneheaded calls and praising unsung grinders. But here's where I ruffle feathers, and trust me, this'll get you lot firing up the keyboards. Andrew Johns the commentator is a double-edged sword. Brilliant when he's breaking down set restarts or dummy half tactics, but insufferable when he veers into hot air territory. Remember his endless rants on 6 again rules? It's ruining the game, he'd thunder, as if he invented territorial kicking. And don't get me started on his origin previews, always doomsaying for the Blues unless they were invincible. Mate, we get it, you're a Blues tragic. But variety is the spice of commentary, and John's one-note Blues bias makes every series feel like a wake. Unpopular opinion numero tres. The NRL coverage would breathe easier without his weekly whinge-fest. Fresh voices, like the rising stars from podcasts or Indigenous analysts, could fill the void and drag the telly talk into the 2020s. Now, let's lean into this dark hypothetical. It's October 15th, 2025, Grand Final Eve. The air thick with anticipation as Penrith chase a 3-peat against the Roosters. The news breaks like thunder over the Harbour Bridge. Andrew Johns, 51 years young, involved in a multi-car pileup on the M1 near Gosford. Eyewitnesses say it was a semi-trailer jackknifing in the rain, a chain reaction of metal and regret. Paramedics pull him from the wreckage, ribs shattered, head trauma severe. He fights for hours in Gosford Hospital, surrounded by family, Maddie by his side, whispering tales of 97, his kids holding hands in silent prayer. But by evening, the machines flatline. The immortal is gone. Social media erupts. #JoeyForever trends worldwide. Tributes pouring in from Billy Slater to Cameron Smith, even a teary nod from Mal Meninga. The NRL postpones tomorrow's decider, unprecedented, a mark of respect that shuts down the league's biggest day. The outpouring? Tidal wave. Newcastle declares a week of mourning. Pubs from Charlestown to Cardiff shutting for black armbands and quiet toasts. The Knights retire his number 14 permanently, a jersey no young gun will ever wear. Origin greats gather for a state funeral at Hunter Stadium, where 30,000 pack the stands, not for a game, but for goodbye. Kids who never saw him play share clips of that 97 try on TikTok, captioning it "Legend lost too soon." And the media. Wall to wall. Fox League runs a 24-hour marathon of highlights, while Nine dusts off old Footy Show eps, laughing through tears at his pranks with Sterlo. Even the PM chimes in, calling him Australia's greatest exporter of footy flair. But amid the grief, cracks appear. Conspiracy nuts on Reddit whisper about the accident. Was it the pill scandal catching up? Sabotage by jealous coaches. Tabloids dredge up his past, headlines like Immortal's demons, the crash that echoed a turbulent life. It's ugly, the way fame feasts on tragedy. Yet, in this shadow, here's the unpopular gut punch. Andrew's passing could spark a reckoning the NRL desperately needs. Think about it. Joey was the face of an era, the 90s boom, when footy was rough, unapologetic, and king of the lounge room. But 2025? The game's polished to a sheen, sin bins for high tackles, salary cap squeezing clubs dry, women's leagues thriving while men's stars chase rugby codes for better bucks. Johns embodied the old guard, passionate, flawed, fiercely tribal. His death would force a mirror-up moment. Would the ARLC finally address mental health head-on, mandating support for players beyond the physio tape? We've seen too many, from Paul Carter to Nathan Doyle, lost to the bottle or the blade. Joey's openness about depression could become canon. Schools in the Hunter teaching John's resilience modules to kids tackling their first insecurities. And the road safety angle? Brutal irony. Australia loses 1,200 souls a year to crashes, many on those Hunter motorways where Joey learned to drive. His story could fuel campaigns, drive like an immortal, steady hands save lives. Imagine PSAs with his voiceover. One dummy half call can change a game. One bad swerve can end it all. The NRL partners with TAC, plastering billboards from Sydney to Brisbane. Clubs roll out driver ed for juniors, turning grief into guardrails. Unpopular Take 4. Tragedy like this exposes the league's complacency on player welfare. Johns railed against head knocks, but off-field risks? Crickets. His loss would shame them into action, from mandatory psych check-ins to family support funds. The game evolves, not despite him, but because his absence screams for it. Diving deeper into legacy, let's tally the intangibles. Johns didn't just win, he inspired a generation of halfbacks to dream bigger. Cameron Munster cites him as the reason he picked footy over netball. Nathan Cleary, that Penrith prodigy, models his game on Joa's short kicking game, drop punts that pin opponents like butterflies. Even in retirement, his coaching clinics in Cessnock churn out talent. Free sessions for underprivileged kids who'd otherwise kick a footy in the dirt. If he were gone, those programs? Doubled, funded by a Johns Foundation, scholarships flowing like Hunter River floods. And the Johns dynasty. Maddie steps up. Cooper pivots from media gigs to advocacy, turning family heartbreak into a beacon. The Brothers podcast, the Maddie Johns podcast, becomes a grief counselling hour, unpacking loss with laughs and lore. But spare a thought for the controversies that'd linger like a bad bunker call. That drug saga. It'd resurface, pundits debating if his off-field slips foreshadowed fragility. Was Joey driving too fast, chasing old thrills? They'd speculate, ignoring the semis role. His media feuds, with Gus Gould over judiciary calls, or Billy Slater on maroon supremacy, would fossilize as unfinished business. Unpopular Opinion 5. John's bias made him human, not a hack. In a sea of bland ex-players spouting platitudes, his fire kept debates alive. Without it, NRL 360 devolves into echo chamber drivel. We'd miss the Barney, the way he'd lean into the MIC, veins bulging, defending Newcastle like it's the Alamo. As we wrap this hypothetical heartache, picture the grand final rescheduled a week later, under floodlights dimmed in tribute. The Knights, inspired, upset the odds with a Joey-esque comeback. Players wear black 14 armbands. Refs let a few high shots slide in his honour, a nod to the rough and tumble he loved. Post-match, the Dally M goes to a halfback, engraved for Andrew. And in living rooms across Australia, from Wollongong to Townsville, fans raise a cold one. To Joey, they murmur, the immortal who made us believe in the impossible. So, there it is, mates, a fictional farewell that cuts too close to the bone. Andrew Johns, taken in a twist of fate on a rainy motorway. His legacy? Etched in premiership silk, origin scars, and the hearts of every kid who ever dreamed of threading a cutout pass. But remember, this is Unpopular Aussie Opinions, and my final take? The NRL survives because blokes like him built it unbreakable. We'd grieve, we'd rage, but come round 1 2026, the whistle blows, and the game endures. Stronger, wiser, with a ghost in the halfback jersey urging us on. If this stirred something in you, a memory, a disagreement, or just a tear for what might never be, drop it in the comments. Smash that like if Joe is your eternal number one, subscribe for more takes that toe the line, and I'll catch you next time. Stay safe on the roads, Australia. Drive steady. This is Unpopular